You know what's funny about Friends? The writers could take the most ridiculous idea imaginable and somehow turn it into comedy gold. This episode is a perfect example. It starts with Phoebe and Frank coming up with what might be the worst business idea in sitcom history, the Relaxy Taxi. The concept is simple. Frank drives a van around the city while Phoebe gives massages in the back. Somehow they think this is a genius idea. Even the characters immediately realize how sketchy it sounds. One of them basically points out that nobody would ever get out of that van alive. And honestly, that's probably true. The funniest part is that instead of discussing how dangerous the business sounds, everyone starts arguing about the name, Relaxy Taxi or Relaxy Cab. That's peak Friends humor right there. Then we get another classic Phoebe moment when she convinces Rachel to get a tattoo. Rachel actually goes through with it, but when she asks to see Phoebe's tattoo, we find out Phoebe never got one herself. She backed out at the last second because she got scared of the needle. The way she acts shocked that tattoos involve needles is absolutely hilarious. Rachel is sitting there with a real tattoo, while Phoebe is acting like she just discovered some top secret information. But the real heart of this episode is Ross and Rachel. As usual, these two manage to make the simplest situation as complicated as possible. Rachel starts talking about a moment she had with Ross. Nothing huge, just some compliments, some eye contact, and that classic Friends tension. Instead of talking to Ross about it, she gives her number to another guy and instantly regrets it. Then she spends the rest of the episode panicking about Ross answering the phone if that guy calls. What's funny is that Rachel and Phoebe perfectly predict how a conversation between Ross and Rachel would actually go. They both know exactly how they feel, but neither of them wants to be the first one to say it out loud. It's frustrating, awkward, and somehow still incredibly entertaining. One thing Friends always did better than most sitcoms was balancing multiple storylines. In a single episode, we get a terrible business idea, tattoo drama, dating problems, relationship tension, and some of the best one-liners in the entire series. Every character gets a chance to shine. Phoebe steals scenes with her randomness, Rachel delivers some genuinely funny reactions, and Ross once again proves that no human being can overcomplicate romance quite like him. What really makes this episode work is the chemistry between the cast. Even the smallest conversations feel entertaining because these characters bounce off each other so naturally. A simple argument about a business name somehow becomes funny, a tattoo story becomes memorable, a phone number becomes a full-blown crisis. That's the magic of Friends. The jokes are great, but it's the characters that make everything work. Overall, this is classic Friends at its best. Funny, chaotic, ridiculous, and surprisingly relatable. Episodes like this remind you why people are still binge-watching the show decades later. The comedy still works, the characters are still lovable, and somehow Ross and Rachel are still making everyone's lives complicated. That's what makes Friends one of the greatest sitcoms ever made.